So I used to take the bus down, and I worked at Airwaves Records, which is owned by Patrick Can. So Patrick was the person who put out Janet K Silly Games. So I worked for Patrick for a little while, but I realised my life expectancy, if I stay working for him, isn't going to last long because people are always looking for Patrick for money. And one day somebody came and was harassing me, and Patrick came back and threw him through the window at work. Yeah, time to
How
leave.
many stories high?
No, it was just ground floor. Dashed their brother through the window. I was like, okay, it's one thing to watch gangster things on television, but I'm not trying to be in this. So I went. So I'd left Lightning, went to Arawak, and I went back to Lightning. But this time, this was the weird thing. I went to interview for the job. I lied. When I first started there, I lied. I'm not even going to go into it because it's boring. But you can't get away with that now because you've got social media. But I lied saying I had all these GCSEs, this and that. I didn't have nothing. At school, I had one qualification, that was English, and I got a grade 3. That's it.
Before you carry on with that story, you told me a story recently about how you weren't allowed to continue with sixth form.
Yeah, I couldn't. I thought I could stay at school because I wasn't even sure what I was going to do. And Mr. Watts, who was the year head, said, "You're not staying." He didn't tell me why. He just said, "You're not staying," and that's it. You're gonna have to leave.
But do you think that happening gave you kind of limited options, and then you thought, screw this, I'm going to do the music thing?
No, no.
Okay.
Music was never a thought in my head. I didn't realize I had that penchant, that memory, or whatever. If you talk to Norman, Rodders, Jazzy, Trevor, we've all got that same thing. Femi Fem. It's that love, and we just had random information that we sat around as DJs exchanging stuff. You know, do you like the third beat of the second bar? It doesn't mean nothing to anybody else.
Technical, yeah.
It's like if you're talking about Rakim, right? Remember, Rakim changed everything, not just one thing, everything about the way people rapped, because it was, and all of a sudden now he's rhyming conversationally. That changed everything. You know, if you look at DMC from Run DMC, he said we knew we were over when he heard Rakim. Yeah. Anyway, going back to this whole thing of did I know? No, I did not know. So let's take it back to the joining of how did I get from a non-musical situation all the way up until now. So I worked at Lightning and I got the job as a 12-inch buyer. But the extreme thing was I remember Vaughan, who gave me the job, he was interviewing me and we were standing right next to the guy whose job I was about to take. And it was just the weirdest thing. But I knew more than this guy. I had a record collection of maybe at that point a couple of hundred. But what I did was I had a racking system at home. In fact, it wasn't even a racking system. So like if this is my room, in the middle I used to have all the records, and it was A to Z. So I just took that same thing and amplified that mentally. But then I got a book, and I did that in Lightning Records. So A was at the top left, and Z was at the bottom right. So it was probably about maybe 8,000 records or something like that I had to look after. And then at the back, you got stock, and it taught me the power.
Organizational skills.
Yeah, but it also taught me the power of my memory. Like, so Christmas, so two of my brothers worked there as well. Learned to do the till, and the money was crazy at Christmas. So I remember Michael Jackson's Thriller album, right? And it was something like CBS 85930, whatever, there was a number. And so when you saw somebody coming towards you who was always buying big orders or they were shipping them, so I looked at him, you could see the top. I've already done it before they got to the desk. Barbara Streisand, whatever it was. I knew all of the information, typed it in. I knew there was 25 in a box or 15 in a box, already added it up. And it was just the little bits you add them on. Get them out of there because Christmas come, you're talking about, you've probably got about 200 people. You're working overnight, Christmas Eve, because these people are now going to get ready for Boxing Day and they're just going at it. But I absolutely, when I think back, I loved it. Just the fact that I knew, as soon as you showed me the record, I knew what the catalogue number was, which was, yeah, complete waste of time to anybody else. But good for the job, because I'm on the till. If somebody was new, I knew that I could do at least 3 customers before that person has even started, because they've got to get it, look at the spine, and I'm just going, click, off you go. You know what I mean? So I did that. I've stayed there for maybe a couple of years, and I said to them, listen, I want to go DJ. Can I go part-time? They said no. So I put my friend in there. I gave him my job, and eventually they let him do part-time, which was really annoying. So how I got into Mastermind was Herbie lived literally around the corner from where I worked.
Can you just name all the members of Mastermind so we have that?
Okay, so when I was there, because there's two different sets. Um, so Mastermind, before I knew them, they were a reggae sound called Conqueror. Not quite sure how they worked out who went where.
And that was in the 70s.
I don't know. I joined in the 80s.
Was it early 80s, 82, 83, something?
Sort of, yeah, probably early 80s, and then yeah, it's got to be. It's got
So
to
it's
be.
got to be 70s for them as Conqueror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I joined Mastermind. I left. I went to Guernsey to work or DJ agency. Came back and I joined Kiss. But where Mastermind was concerned, so they split. Conqueror was over here. The Mastermind that I knew when I got there was you had the 4 older and the 4 younger. So it was Herbie, Leroy, Danny. So Herbie was the head guy. Danny was the tech. Leroy was the mic man, and Morris was a dancer. Right, but Morris was still to this day. In fact, I saw him at Carnival a couple of weeks ago. He was into karate, like big time, big time, which saved me from getting a battering a couple of times. So, if you remind me, I'm saying one of the local gangsters who was nearly beat the out of me, but he didn't because Morris stepped in. So the younger ones were me, Max, Casey, and Bert. How I got in there was they had quite a few gigs. They had more than one setup. So somebody would be this part of London, the other parts would be this. I didn't know anything about mixing, really, miking, nothing. You just knew somebody hired you. I knew the records. I knew what records to play, and that's how we ended up doing what we was doing. Eventually, one Friday, I think it was a Friday, but you got to talk to Casey because Casey's the memory man. Anything that I'm missing out here, I can guarantee you he knows. Anyway, so we get to that point where we are doing really well. We're ghetto superstars, but no money. And all of a sudden, I get told that, look, we're really upset with you because you're using our name to get into clubs and this and the other. I'm like, are you really serious about this? And at that point, we're still doing the street sound stuff as well.
What were you doing the street sounds?
So that was the mixing, so the electro albums. What went on was we're being told we're stifling you because we don't like the way you're moving. I'm like, at that point, I'm working at Lightning. My words, I can't remember exactly. I'm sure Casey will tell you, but what I can remember is my words were, I could do better without you, and I'm out. And I bailed.